opportunities for the visiting Belgian investors. The communities of Kitty raised concern over a massive dump site suspected to contain toxic waste. The South African rand breaks key resistance the first time in 3 years. And the European Union removes Tunisia and several other countries from its tax haven non-cooperative jurisdictions list. Those are tonight's headlines. The details will follow shortly. I am Jane Abanyang presenting. A delegation from the Belgian Trade and Investment Mission on Friday paid a courtesy call on the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, to discuss investment opportunities in the Gambia. The mission comprises leading businessmen specializing in various fields of investment. Earlier this week, the delegation members held discussions with senior government officials, the private sector and other stakeholders in a bid to explore possible investment opportunities in the Gambia. Mujalo reports on this and other engagements.
The delegation of the Belgian Trade and Investment Mission wrapped up business in the Gambia with a closed-door meeting with the Gambian leader. Speaking to GRTS after the meeting, the officials reaffirmed their commitment to explore the largely untapped potentials in the country.
The areas of possibilities to invest in the Gambia and the new Gambia are huge. They are very broad. I think they're going from tourism, agriculture, IT, communication, inland waterway. I think you have the Gambia River as a tremendous opportunity. You are such a gift of nature, and I think the interest of Belgian enterprises is enormously.
Between the Gambia and Belgium, the friendship relations between our two countries are based now on shared values. That's very important, as democracy, rule of law, good governance, human rights, fight against impunity. It's a very important framework, a new framework between here in Gambia, and pave the way to new and very open relations.
The Gambia's ambassador to the Kingdom of Belgium, Ernest Bai Koroma, said the Gambia has all the necessary ingredients for businesses to invest in the country.
The mission is very, very important and crucial. We have been working on it since March last year when the President visited Belgium, and he had high-level discussions with the King of Belgium himself and the Prime Minister. And since then we have been tasked to make something happen between Belgium and the Gambia in terms of economic cooperation, because at the political level there is a strong will to make sure that something happens between the two countries. At the private sector level, economic level, this is something that will impact positively on the lives of Gambians, and this is why we took the mission very seriously.
In a separate engagement, members of the Cairo Survival-Led Crisis Society met the President. The society advocates for the rights of the disadvantaged and vulnerable groups, while also providing support and counseling services. Janko Jaune is president of the society.
The President to show him or to actually reveal to him that we are an organization existing in the country, so that one way or the other, so that we can be given some support, probably because it's a voluntary organization, but he has categorically made it clear to us that although it's voluntary, but we still need some assistance, and that's very true, because we need to run our offices and so on.
Has he given that commitment?
Yes, he has given us commitment that he's going to give us some support.
A former Premier League and English international footballer, Emil Heskey, also led a delegation to State House for talks with President Barrow. The retired football star, who is still active in the development of the game, expressed willingness to promote football in the country, where the game is hugely popular amongst young people. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
The Sierra Leonean President, Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, has sent a condolence message to His Excellency President Adama Barrow on the death of the Gambia's ambassador to Sierra Leone, Femi Peters. The message reads, "It is with great sadness and a deep sense of loss that I have received the news of the sudden death of His Excellency Ingram Reginald Olufemi Peters. Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of the Gambia to the Republic of Sierra Leone, which sad event took place on Sunday, the 21st of January 2018. Ambassador Peters will always be remembered as a man who endeavored during his short spell as head of mission to further strengthen bilateral relations between the Gambia and the Republic of Sierra Leone. He will also be remembered as a great patriot who contributed to restore democracy in the Gambia. On behalf of the government and people of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and on my personal behalf, I wish to extend my deepest condolence to Your Excellency, the government and people of the Republic of the Gambia, and more particularly to the bereaved family for this irreparable loss. We pray that the Almighty will grant you succor and consolation during this time of grief, while joining the people of the Gambia in mourning the loss of this great patriot. Please accept, Your Excellency and dear brother, the assurances of my highest consideration. The message concludes. The operatives of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency have recently arrested two suspected Gambian and a Senegalese national, or two suspected Gambian nationals and a Senegalese in the Fournies, with what is said to be one of the largest quantities of cannabis sativa apprehended so far. As Yero Jallo reports, the suspects currently under custody are helping the police in their investigation.
Yaya Jiba, a native of Bajagar in the West Coast region, is suspected to be trading in cannabis. The drug law enforcement agents acting on a tip-off said they arrested the suspect who was using his horse cart as a means of transportation. Usman Seriba is the public liaison officer of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency.
He was arrested with almost about 265 big bundles of suspected cannabis sativa.
According to Seriba, cannabis is illegal in the Gambia, and anyone trading in it, if proven guilty in court, is expected to face the full force of the law.
It is very alarming that if you to check within December to now, being able to nab persons with quantities that amount to almost more than a ton, which is sometimes even we can see our annual seizure. It's very alarming and it's very worrying, as we continue to say. As I said, we are in the harvesting period, and therefore, especially people who are living within the border areas and then within the communities have to be very, very vigilant, conscious of things that takes place within our environment, and then cooperate to ensure that we make our society safe and secure for us, our families, and those who are within there.
Mauri Jallo and Babukar Ndur are also accused of dealing in cannabis.
The other case also involved another two persons. One is a Gambian and the other one is a Senegalese, who were also arrested around the bush in Jagil village. The one is a Gambian and the other one is a Senegalese. They are also presently in custody, arrested with a total of also about almost 250 big bundles. So roughly we have over half a ton of cannabis sativa, suspected cannabis sativa, that has been seized within this period.
This is the latest in a series of drug-related cases, and as PRO Seriba puts it, the law will take its course.
Finally, also, we send this warning to especially those who are fond of allowing their premises, business premises, to be used to abuse drugs. They should know that there is no law in this country that has permitted anybody to allow or falter any of such activities to take place within your premise. If you are caught and then you are found wanting, you will face the full force of the law. You will be arrested, and then charges will be pressed against you, and you will be taken to court.
For GRTS News, this is Yero Jallo reporting.
Meanwhile, the Office of the Inspector General of Police notifies the general public that political parties that wish to hold political activities using public address systems are welcome to send in their request. All political parties are also requested to be aware that hitherto granted permits are nullified by virtue of elapsed dates. The Office of the Inspector General further reassures the general public of its commitment to ensure that political activities are conducted in a safe and secure atmosphere. The Gambia Provincial Settlement of Kiang Quinella in the Lower River region on Monday celebrated the upliftment of the village minor health center by the McCoy Foundation. The Dutch philanthropic charity upgraded the center's maternity ward. Louis Mendy has more details on that.
This is Kiang Quinella, some 150 kilometers southeast of Banjul. The community is in a festive mood. The McCoy Foundation, a charity founded by the Dutch couple Gareth Petros Maria Lambo and Annick Lambo, has just equipped their health center's maternity ward, provided water facilities for the health post, and laptops for the nurses for data keeping.
The minor health facility oversees 2 health posts in Kiang West, that is Jifarong and Jataba, and 2 in Kiang Central, that is Mema and Sibito. And it covers the entire Kiang Central and part of Kiang West. It's covered 33 communities with a catchment area population of 15,129, projected 2017 population.
The villagers on Monday gathered to return gratitude to the philanthropist in a way most befitting to them.
Water is key, and it's like without water we may find it difficult to live here. More precisely at facility level, I believe with water supply which is adequate and potable is definitely impacting on the staff motivation and also for the patient comfortness within the facility.
Mustafa Sane is the regional community health nurse tutor. Sane and Chief Alaji Bemba Sanyang were full of praises to the McCoy Foundation.
There is no government that can provide everything that these people need. Your intervention in this area is complementing government efforts, is really appreciated by all. And I will call on other philanthropists, institutions and individuals to come forward and assist in this health sector. As the saying goes, health is wealth. A healthy nation is a wealthy nation.
Mafal Sedi is the country coordinator for the McCoy Foundation. He came to know about the Kiang Quinella Health Center's dire need for help in one of his countrywide tours to assess the state of health facilities.
We do level our best to renovate the hospital. We are on the good way. You have now water, you have nice sanitary. We try to make the light, but we must see how much that is. So we have expect that.
Kiang Quinella needs a well-equipped maternity ward to save the time and trouble some women in labor were in the past forced to endure by traveling 32 kilometers to the nearest regional referral hospital in Jarasoma for safe delivery. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
The Gambia Transport Services Company has held its maiden award ceremony for the 2017 year. 5 lucky winners were awarded prizes. Seydou Camara covered the ceremony held at the depot's head office in Kanifing and filed in this report.
Service company has awarded its customers of the year 2017 with different food items, including bags of rice, onion, tomato paste, and gallons of cooking oil. According to the marketing manager at the Gambia Transport Service Company, Fabuka Njai, the welfare of their customers is their priority.
The focus of GTC is to ensure that the needs and requirements of passengers are met. And we have been communicating, and we will continue to communicate, and we also to do some surveys so that we can determine our passengers' key requirements and needs. And then it's a process that is ongoing, and then we're going to reinforce that further. And then with the department team and collective with organizations, we're going to work across departments and within the material to ensure that we continue to meet customers' needs and requirements so that we can make them delighted.
Would I underline their resolve to satisfy the users of their services?
We have various services leading at various departure time, and we are more reliable because we have what we call a breakdown rescue service, just in case of any form of breakdown, we can rescue the buses. And we are an organized company. We have support stations. We have staff that are well trained in customer service, and our bus fleets are new, and we do bus check and test every day. This is chief engineer here. Every day a bus comes well inspected to make sure it's roadworthy before it's rolled out. So the service, the safety record is quite good, and then also it's also reliable. We have a fixed schedule we run on. So I will encourage people to continue service, and we continue to expand it.
The winners of the Customers of the Year also expressed gratitude to the management of the GTSC for providing the public with comfortable transport services throughout the country and in the sub-region.
I'm exhilarated because I wasn't expecting to win anything with my travels and stuff like that. But with GTSC, it's like I'm going to be there for life now. And I'm going to encourage everybody. I'm going to start a campaign for them.
The categories that got winners were Super Express Service, Guinea-Bissau Service, Dakar Service, Nuara Service, and the normal service. Abdul Salam, the normal service winner, suggests additional services between Bara and Laminkoto that will run from 1 p.m. onward.
The forum is important. We all appreciate the awards. The development of the country is the interest of every citizen.
The private company, which started operation in July 2013 with 48 buses and today boasts of 68 buses, the officials at the GTSC assure the general public of more reliable, comfortable and quality services. Saidi Kamara, GRTS News.
Nyodema Foundation for Social Development in the Gambia, in partnership with Nyodema Foundation in Holland and Belgium, on Saturday organized a day's sensitization forum at its head office in Sukuta. Uminjai has details.
Nyodema Foundation for Social Development, a philanthropic organization in the Gambia, Saturday sensitized the public on its policies and other community development programs. Speaking at the occasion, the Vice Chairman of Nyodema Foundation, Ibrahim Sabali, highlighted the activities of the organization.
Our objective in this foundation to help people who need to be helped, because definitely Gambia here 95% are poor, and government alone cannot do everything. This is a new Gambia, and the door is open for every good Gambian to come and support the government.
A representative of President Barrow's Youth for National Development, Sanusi Tal, said empowering youths is an essential tool in any national development.
These are some of the things that we are also in for. So I will encourage youths to come and knock the doors of Sabali to look assistance that will, and he has made it very clear he's not helping individuals, but helping communities. I think these are the things that the Gambians are looking for. So they can come in collective and knock at his doors.
A youth representative, Modusise, expressed appreciation to the foundation for supporting the young people, especially those at the community level.
Normally, when you want to organize tournament, we ourselves, the teams, you contributed. But when you have people like him, want to sponsor us free, we are going to thank him, and then we are very happy about that. So and I'm encouraging other people also to come to him to explain their problem, because he's a good man. He said that he's not helping individually. We are very lucky from him that he came to our village and said that he's one day he called us for a meeting, then he explained his problem to us, then he said no problem, then we also will try to help, and then we'll flow you. So that's why I'm here to...
A youth leader, Babukar Yafa, thanked members of the Nyodema Foundation for engaging young people in national development activities. Ominjai, GRTS.
Let's now take a short break. The news continues right after. Stay with us.
We value the feeling of speed, the thrill of the wind as we rush
first time in 3 years. The currency pushed below 12 rand to the dollar on Wednesday. A weaker greenback has been helping to prop up the South African currency, but there's also been plenty of positive sentiments behind the recent movements. Sumitra Naidu reports.
Run in the last 2 months, it stabilized in the latter part of 2017 and surged after Cyril Ramaphosa won the ANC's presidential election in December. The rally has continued into 2018, reaching levels last seen in 2015.
Since the beginning of December, the rand has strengthened about 12%, and obviously the middle of December, which was the 18th of December when the ANC election was, the rand has strengthened about 5% from after that.
The rand has become the best performing emerging market currency this year. While investors have shown renewed interest, the dollar's recent weakness is also adding to the rand's strength.
What's also happening is the rest of the world's growing. So central banks and investors are diversifying their investments in currencies. They're buying the euro, they're buying the yen, they're even buying the pound. So that's taken attention away from the dollar. I think the other thing is that there are worries about the trade deficit in America.
Ramaphosa is tipped to become the next president. His tough stance against corruption has lifted confidence, so much so that many believe the pending dreaded ratings downgrade will not happen in March.
I think it's going to carry on in the short to medium term. I think what's going to be key is how Cyril addresses the corruption issue, how he addresses ESCOM, and what comes out in the budget speech. I think we're going to possibly see the 1180 level, but I do think that there are still a lot of headwinds in the longer terms.
The rand was trading close to 15 rand against the dollar in November last year. It's now trading below 12 rand. It's been a spectacular turnaround for an otherwise volatile currency, and it's good news for inflation, especially now that oil prices are rising. But exporters who have enjoyed the weaker currency will have to adjust.
Not everybody's celebrating, particularly the exporters and certainly the miners, because it has a big it affects them in a large way, where suddenly, having got 14 against the rand, you're selling the same goods at 12. But for importers, it's a bonanza.
There are still domestic pressures, though. An inflated budget deficit, political uncertainty over President Jacob Zuma's future, and a Moody's ratings decision in just over a month may see the rand reversing all of its gains. Sumitra Naidu, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Tunisia, along with several countries, is officially out of the European Union's list of non-cooperative jurisdictions announced in December. The delisting was justified in the light of an expert assessment of the commitments made by these countries to address deficiencies identified by the EU. CGTN's Aden Chouachi has more on the reactions in Tunisia.
7 other countries have been removed from the European Union's tax haven blacklist. The announcement was made by the EU's Economic and Financial Affairs Council. The authorities in Tunis have welcomed the move.
We welcome this decision, but we insist that Tunisia's blacklisting as tax haven was the result of reservations made by the EU regarding export regimes and financial services for non-residents in Tunisia.
The finance minister pointed out that the delisting was justified following an expert assessment of the commitments made by the North African state to address deficiencies identified by the EU.
Tunisia was removed from Annex 1 of the non-cooperative jurisdictions to Annex 2 of cooperation with respect to commitments taken. The European partner believes that preferential systems are bad for the economies. We've made the necessary steps to show our goodwill.
The Parliamentary Committee of Inquiry on the classification of Tunisia as a non-cooperative tax jurisdiction has met several times to investigate the authorities' treatment of this file.
The committee has lobbied in Brussels to explain the legal framework which guarantees transparency. Now, We will determine the responsibility here in Tunis in order to prevent a similar listing in the future.
9 countries are still on the list of non-cooperative jurisdictions. They have been asked to apply strict reforms in order to be delisted.
The Tunisian public opinion has been following the developments following the EU's blacklisting of the country in December. Now, many people here say they feel relieved after the removal from the controversial list. Adam Shawashi, CGTN, Tunis.
And over now to another short break. When we return, we'll take a look at the weather forecast.
My name is William Abraham. I'm the president of Real Banjul Football Club in the Gambia.
As part of its drive to facilitate dialogue and bridge the communication
And time now for a look at the weather report from the Central Forecast Office.